Crane and the Cowboy on thelibertyplaybook.com. Thank you for joining us. If you've been here before, or if you're just perusing the site, you know that this is a site that's really dedicated to educating folks about civics, maybe where their high school history or civics class left off. And we like to talk about the Constitution. We really believe in it, and we think that it's something that if you're going to amend it, you have to be very careful about how you do it. But there are several movements, I guess you might call it, to amend the Constitution. We're going to talk a little bit about them. The latest from, of all people, Jesse Jackson, who thinks, despite the amendment that gave blacks the vote, the Voting Rights Act, that that's a state issue and it should be a federal issue.
Yeah, I mean, the left wants to bring everything under the federal guise and under the federal umbrella, and what that does to me is it disregards the 10th Amendment. And the states should set their own rules for voting. New York is different than California. California is different than North Carolina or Texas or something like that. They're going to vote the way that they're supposed to vote, and the way that they want to be voted, the way they're going to register, the way they're going to do all this other stuff. To bring it under the federal umbrella, it just means Washington grabs more control of everybody's lives. And I'm sure Jesse would love that because he thinks it's something that is going to get him some press because, quite frankly, he's not in the media anymore.
With Black Lives Matter, he's becoming almost irrelevant in the black community, or at least so we're told. You don't see him on television as much, so maybe this is his way to look out and try and be relevant. But here's the question. Where are you not allowed to vote in the United States? Where is the vote being hindered? Now, if you say that having to show identification is hindering the vote, well, you have to show an identification to get on an airplane. You have to show an identification to drive a motor vehicle. What's more important than the vote?
Well, and the thing about it is, you're trying to disenfranchise people. When Texas passed their voter ID law, there's no charge. They'll give it to you for free. They'll send it to you. They don't make you, he's going to have to drive her all the way to some office and get it. No, he's not. They're made it so easy to do. And quite frankly, what's wrong with sending going to vote and saying, I'm a citizen of the United States and this is proof that I'm a citizen of the United States? I still fail to realize what's wrong with that. It's not some kind of, the old poll test where they would give impossible questions to black voters that they couldn't answer. You can't answer this question, you can't vote today.
Or a poll tax.
Or a poll tax, or something else. It basically says bring an ID. As you said, you got to get on, nowadays with security, if you don't have one, you can't even get on a Greyhound bus.
Well, the other thing, too, is, when you talk about voting and all these things being disenfranchised, it's gotten to the point now, if your government check doesn't come on direct deposit, you're being disenfranchised because you have to get up and go to the bank or go to the credit union or work somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, look, if you want to go back to the original framers of the Constitution, the original voting, you had to be a landed person.
A male
landed person, have so much property. Not just land, you had to have so much. Mm-hmm. So they want to go back to that? Look, universal suffrage is here. And I'm sorry, if somebody's too dang lazy to go down and get an ID card, then too bad.
Well, the other movements in the way of interpreting, or not interpreting, but amending the Constitution, we have the Convention of States project run in California here by a gentleman named Mark Meckler. We have a single amendment drive, the Balanced Budget Amendment from Lou Euler, a conservative guy also in California, and he's very close.
He's at 28 states. He needs 6 to get to 34, which is then call the question, if you will. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows it. It's the biggest under-the-radar story. And if he gets his 6 states and holds a press conference and says, we've got 34 states to call it, it will be a national news story and it will bust out. Right now, it's kind of under the radar, and probably that's good.
And then we have Governor Abbott in Texas with the Texas plan, which would have a convention of states called to amend it in any number of ways.
Yeah, he's got 9 points, with regulation, term limits for judges, allowing the vote of the people to overturn Supreme Court decisions. He's got a lot of different things in there. But as you and I have talked about, it's like building a prototype engine. If you got a new engine, build the prototype, then you go to the bankers and say, hey, we built a prototype and it actually works. I'm going to loan you the money to build a factory or whatever it is. It's the same with the Constitution. If the one single issue balanced budget makes it, to me it opens the door and all of a sudden people say, aha, maybe we can change other things. Or it forces Congress, which hasn't done its job in a long, long time, to say, maybe we better look at some of these things before the people do it to us.
The Constitution is a wonderful document, but in some ways, it's viewed as a sacred cow. Anytime we talk about the Constitution on this website, we get a little pushback from people, and it's because they think we're far right or we have an agenda. If the Wright brothers just kept what they had, we wouldn't be going, to New York in 5 or 6 hours. We went from propellers to jets. Things advance when they have to. They change with the times. The Constitution has been amended almost 30 times, but it takes a lot to do it. We don't take it lightly. No one does, but sometimes you have to change with the times. Maybe we're spending too much. Maybe the federal judges are in too long. The Constitution, as we said before, never says lifetime appointments in those words.
Yeah, and I also think it's not, when people say it's a living document, that's when conservatives especially get scared. Oh my gosh, they're going to change everything. No, to me it's like, the basics are still here. We're not going to change the basics. But we think that judges should be term limited because in the old days, a guy lived till 50, he was an old man. And now you live till 50, that's the new 70. Mm-hmm. So we have to change some certain things, but we cannot change the basic parts, the Bill of Rights, the basic parts of the Constitution, and that's what scares me sometimes.
The other problem is the way some judges interpret the Constitution. If you read it, and please read it if you haven't, it's pretty basic. There's not a lot of hard language subject to interpretation, and it's amazing that the Supreme Court they got a book like this of how they've interpreted different things. It's pretty basic. We don't get it.
Yep. And also the fact is that the Constitution is the framework. And you don't change the framework. All you do is you can add some things into it, women's right to vote, and then we made mistakes like prohibition, which did nothing but make more crime, and then we realized, oh my gosh, we made a mistake, so we had to fix that. So it can go both ways, but to me, I want to keep the basic framework 1 through 10 in the Bill of Rights, and then we'll move on from there.
You can dormer that house, add a couple more bedrooms up top, but you still have that frame down.
That's exactly right.
Crane and the Cowboy coming to you on thelibertyplaybook.com. Thanks for joining us.